There's 150 acres of land here that are going to remain as we see them today as open space through the Massachusetts Agricultural Preservation Act. So take a good look at the beauty of the land around here. That's John's legacy. I ask all of you for your prayers for, as I refer to him, as Brother John. And I ask you to also pray for our whole country today in this tragedy that's impacting our whole country. I would like to take a moment to thank the Dracut Police Department for their assistance, to most of the media for respecting our privacy, and particularly the folks at American Airlines who have been very kind and helpful to us today. I'll take a couple of quick questions and then I'm going to go back in. And
John leave here this morning for his...
Yeah, John left here this morning, probably a little after 6 this morning. And a few of us in our family, we have this little thing when we drive by someone's house, we just give them a little toot-toot on the horn. And John drove by Uncle Al's house a little after 6, gave him his little toot-toot.
Is that his regular route to fly to L.A.?
It has been for the past couple of years.
Did he ever talk about the chance of terrorism?
No, he didn't.
Jim?
No, actually, we never spoke of my work together. We never spoke of his work together. We spoke of farming together, of the family. But our work was kind of a off-limits area. We never discussed much of that.
Jim, can you talk about your military status and your plans to maybe help with what President Bush is calling?
Well, I was en route to Logan Airport this morning myself. For when I came, I saw the news, and I had that feeling, and I came home. And I haven't watched the news really since 10 o'clock. I didn't hear the president's comments. So I don't know what else to say on that.
What about your plans? You mentioned to us earlier.
Well, I'm in the Air National Guard, and this is quite a cowardly act, what we have seen today, attacking civilians, not military. Whatever it takes, my unit will be involved, and I would like to be the first one to step forward and be involved with that.
What do you know about
Can you talk a little bit about your, again, you were on your way to Logan. Can you tell us why you were on your way to Logan, and when did you get a sense that this plane may have been your brother's plane?
I was leaving the house. It was almost 9:30. I turned on the news, and they showed late-breaking news. I watched that for a couple minutes. I got picked up heading to the airport. We had to stop for a shuttle transfer. I went in to see what's going on for an update, and at that point in time, they said it was an American Airlines flight out of Logan. I had that sinking feeling on that moment. I can't describe it.
Jim, I know you have some relatives in Pelham. Did John also own property there or home on a lake?
He did years ago, yeah.
Just now?
I'm not sure if he still has it up there or not.
Sir, what do you know about the circumstances of this accident?
I've only watched the news today. That's all I've been told.
Jim, can I ask you what the family, if you can, a little bit, how the family's getting through this today and what they're doing inside the house?
As you can all imagine, we're all in shock. I'm not sure if it's the correct term of shock and denial. This is, I don't know how else to explain it.
Was there someone, a particular family member's idea to put up the flag today?
That was my idea. It was a tribute to my brother.
Was aviation running your family?
Yes, my sister's a retired flight nurse from the military.
And is his wife an active stewardess?
Flight attendant.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
She's active.
Yes, she is. Yes.
And how old are their children? Could you repeat their names? I know you
The 3 girls. It's Laura, is 16. Difficult ages. 16, Caroline is 14, and Mary Catherine is 11.
What are your parents' names?
Alexander and Teresa.
How do you spell Teresa?
T-H-E-R-E-S-A.
His wife's name?
We call her Peggy.
And is there anything specific they're doing? Have they heard directly from the airline? Have they met with anybody from?
Well, with the scope of this tragedy nationwide, as you can imagine, most things we've seen are off the news. I don't think anybody has any answers, including those at the highest level. So there's nothing that I can say on something like that that would be enlightening to you folks.
A radio report said that a priest came to the house this morning to tell the family about the tragedy with some FAA officials.
We get the word through some other channels.
Do you know if your brother
Were you
was ever
visited by
concerned about the
clergy?
possibility of hijacking?
Never mentioned it.
Jim,
Your
there was
brother's future plans, did he ever discuss, what his future plans might be, his love of farming, things like that?
Brother John was highly involved with preserving open space, and that was one of his big goals, was to preserve as much of the town of Dracut before it's all developed as he could. And he was highly involved with stuff like that. He was involved with the agricultural community to all levels.
Was he close to retirement, sir?
He was 52. I think he can go until age 60 some odd with the airlines.
Jim, many people are calling this an act of war. Do you consider your brother a war hero?
I consider my brother a hero for many reasons. It's hard to explain losing your big brother.
Jim, do you think he likes better working in the air or working on the land?
That's hard to say, but he always, when I saw him with his hands dirty and his pants filthy, he was always pretty happy.
Does your family have an opinion as to what the national response to this would be?
I think President Bush will do a fine job on whatever he opts is the the best way to respond to this.
We just clarify, was the family visited by a priest or a clergy person this morning?
Oh yeah, there has been a number of clergy that have stopped in to visit us.
Were they a member of a local church? Did the family attend?
Yes, most of the family belongs to Holy Trinity Polish Church in Lowell. Brother John was also a member of St. Patrick's up in Pelham.
Jim, I'm not sure why you wanted to wait as long as you
For military work, I was going away. Yeah,
National Guard work in St. Louis.
right.
Your rank in the National Guard?
Lieutenant Colonel.
Can you tell us just briefly about the other siblings? He has 2 or 3 other siblings.
There's 5 of us.
Can you tell us their names
And
if you can?
The youngest is my brother Joe, who lives out in Michigan. He works as a plastic engineer, also a graduate of the University of Lowell. My sister Carol also lives in Dracut.
Same family last name?
Yep. And she works in Andover. I work in the military. And my oldest sister Dolores, which unfortunately we still are trying to get a hold of. So I won't disclose her location, but she's retired military flight nurse.
You're full-time National Guard, sir?
Correct.
And what branch of the military have you joined as a sister?
Air Force.
So is Brother John the oldest of the 5?
John, he thought he was the oldest. He was the second oldest.
Who was first oldest?
My sister Dolores.
Was he actually in Vietnam?
He was going through flight training at the time, and I know when he got into the 141s, he made some runs over there at the, I guess it would be at the conclusion of it.
Did you say what?
43.
Did you say what your sister Carol does professionally?
Internal Revenue Service.
Thanks.
Thanks, and I do ask everyone to please respect my parents in particular, John's wife and the children, and give them their peace.
How old are your parents, Joe? Jim?
My dad's 80, and my mom is in the 70s. Thank you.
Some people in the comments have got...
That was the brother, one of the brothers of John Ogonowski, who was the captain of the American Airlines flight that crashed into the World Trade Center. Probably, more than likely, not at the controls. Terrorists probably had taken over that plane. The brother Jim, ironically, a member of the Air National Guard here in Boston. Some of those will be called upon and have been called upon already to fly security along the coastline and over New York. John Ogonowski, as we find out more and put some faces to some of the statistics, from Lowell, now lives in Dracut at a 150-acre farm. You saw the corn behind him. 3 daughters, Laura, Caroline, and Mary Catherine. Wife Peggy also works for American Airlines. We can identify a couple of other people on board that American Airlines flight. The second pilot was Tom McGinnis of Stratham, New Hampshire. BZ Radio said that he's originally from Massachusetts. And another person who was on board and killed, we've been able to confirm, is Daniel Lewin, 31 years of age. He is from Akamai Technology in Cambridge, one of the co-founders. And we'll be finding out a lot more. That was a Boston-based crew on the American Airlines flight that took off just before 8 o'clock this morning and slammed into the side, the North Tower of the World Trade Center. The second flight out of Boston was United Airlines Flight 175, also from Boston to Los Angeles. We're not able to confirm yet exactly what happened to that flight, other than the fact it did crash. We're waiting for more on that, and we'll continue to update the Boston connection to the tragedies which have stunned not only the United States, but the world today, as terror is unleashed on so much of our country. I'm Jack Williams here in the newsroom. We'll continue to update. Let's rejoin CBS News.
Tape short talk to the nation. He'd gone there from Florida when these events first began unfolding this morning. The president said in Florida he was going back to Washington. He did not do that. The official reason being that the Secret Service, among others, thought that under the circumstances, it would not be the most advisable thing for the president to go back to Washington. But what you see, if you look at the map, at least mentally, the president's gone from Florida to Shreveport, Louisiana, to the air base, Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska. Where he goes next is anybody's guess. But Karen Hughes just briefing at the FBI headquarters. Now, John Chester, a spokesman at the Pentagon, has a briefing underway there. Let's go to it live. Well, we're obviously having some audio difficulties there at the Pentagon. We'll bring you up to date on what they said there. What we know about the Pentagon already is that an apparent hijacked aircraft, again, a commercial airliner, was crashed into the Pentagon, and actually into, we're told, a helipad right next to the Pentagon. There was damage to the Pentagon itself. Flames and smoke consumed a portion of the Pentagon for a while. Mark well, since the Pentagon opened in 1943, this is the first time it's actually come under a direct attack. Nothing even approaching this had ever happened at the Pentagon before. After a somewhat long delay, the Defense Department confirmed that there had been fatalities. How many, we do not know, at the Pentagon, and we saw some of the injured being treated and then carried away earlier in the day. But we don't have a lot of information on what happened at the Pentagon just yet. Now, I'm told that we now have some audio from the briefing, so let's try again to go to the Defense Department to pick up on the briefing. John Chester. Well, 2 strikes on that. We obviously don't have the audio of Mr. John Chester. I'm sorry, that mistake is mine, for which I apologize, but Mr. John Chester, we couldn't pick up the audio. This is one of those days when obviously we're doing the best we can to bring you as many live reports as we can. There's no way we can do it perfectly. Now, we had talked to Shimon Peres in Israel just as we were going, just before we went to Karen Hughes. And he was pointing out, this is a paraphrase of what he was saying, that yes, the United States has stood with Israel all of these years, but that under these circumstances, the Israelis certainly understood, perhaps better than some, the enormity of what was happening this day. And we do apologize.